Fellow family and friends of the global community, this is Reggie Reddy, the dentist in Sandton, and I welcome my lovely Govender family this afternoon, and we have an engagement, a conversation about their journey, which is part of my journey. I think it's about an example of life and how confidence can build in individuals, families, and Pampani as a healthcare practitioner, and what role did I play in their life as a dentist. This is Mahan on the extreme side of me, and this is Risti, the mom, and this is the lovely Jeha right next to me. Right. So we just need to chat about where we are. You know, I'm just fascinated to know that how your departure from the shores of South Africa to the US and how you've grown in confidence. And for me, that's taken a leaf of how change is always dynamic, and to see young people changing and be happy. And when I see Jaya blossoming and having this free-flow conversation with me, which he didn't have 10 years ago, right? And I think it heartens me and brings about a lot of joy and happiness. I think maybe we'd just like to start with mom first, as Risti, as a legal practitioner, as a mom, as a housewife, an inspiration in terms of the business of light, and that's what they are.
No, thanks, Dr. Reddy. Thanks for having us. I think, like you said, it's been a 10-year journey with you, having known you, and then you knowing the kids from when they were so little. So when you see them taking a step like this, it's quite surprising to think that these are young South African, homegrown, very homely children, and then wanting to make a decision to fly abroad. I think that started off with COVID, and with them home being schooled online, missing out those very critical years that they would have had at school, being, physically at school. And we were thinking, Mahan's almost the end of his school in Korea, and here he is sitting at home in front of a computer. And it was actually Jaya who decided, when she came up to us and she said, you know what, we want to do a boarding school and we want to do it abroad. And the thinking was, why would you want to leave home? Why would you want to leave the comforts and everything that you ever had at your fingertips and go to a foreign place? But she was so inspired by the fact that they've always wanted to do a US university. So when we did the research and thought, this could actually work, we interviewed a few schools. They interviewed us before we finally made the decision. But if I have to answer your question in the context of a mom, for me, I think it was the separation anxiety more than anything else, because the thought of leaving your little kids at an airport, it was COVID at the time, so South Africa was on the red list and we were restricted from flying with them. Only kids with school visas, study visas could fly. So we literally dropped them off at the airport. They enrolled themselves at the school. They started there. We only got to see them 6 months later when they flew back home. But in terms of us actually seeing the school, it was after 2 years of them being there, of us physically going and seeing where they had set up their home, how they established themselves, the new community and friends that they now were a part of. A life that was separate and distinct from ours. So that for me was phenomenal to see. The growth was exponential. And like you said, it surprises you when you have that conversation with Jaya, to us as well, and our other friends and family, who says it's like talking to different people, to adult people, as opposed to a 16 and an 18-year-old who left home to do this big thing.
Rusty, what would you say to other moms that have similar children and were able to tune to children's inspiration and conversation you had with Jaya that inspired Mahan to take the same step? How would you give them the confidence that you had to let go of children?
The thing that I would say to them most is to just have an open mind and have faith. Faith is something that is going to give you the guts that you need to say, I can do this, they can do this. And the line that kept me going is that they are exactly where they're meant to be. Because if they weren't there, then this would not be happening. So anytime And it was Ravi who had a lot of doubts about, okay, let's get them back or let's go there. He was ready to relocate the week after. He had the most horrible what is it, separation anxiety that he was ready. He was already looking for houses in the US. He was like, we have to go. Maybe we shouldn't have done this. But I said to him, you know what? Just hold on. Let's give it a year. Let's give them a chance to see if this is something that they are meant to do, then they will do it. But they went over and above that because they not just achieved it, but they succeeded in so many ways. And, we can talk about accolades after, but they were thriving in this community. We didn't see them lacking. We didn't see them. Okay, the thing that they were missing was definitely home cooked meals because they had to adapt to that whole American culture. So, to other parents out there, there are going to be challenges, no doubt. They're going to miss home. They're going to miss food. They're going to miss some creature comforts that they were so accustomed to. But you've just got to have faith that it's in their hands. You can only support them and you can only listen to them. Sometimes they don't want your advice. So you just got to be knowing that I need to just listen. They just want someone to talk to. And sometimes they don't want to talk at all. So you gotta very understand what your kids need at that time and respond appropriately.
I think it's wonderful that you work from the state of intuition to know that when to correspond to children, when not to correspond to them. The most important thing, give them the space. There's a lovely story to say that how does flowers blossom? Flowers blossom in space. Like a beautiful flower.
Really?
And here I see Jay and Ma, and there's two lovely flowers that blossomed in space, where mums and Risti and Dad Ravi are given the opportunity to blossom in space. Let's talk a little bit about Jaya, right? And I've known Jaya growing in front of me, and it's highly inspirational for me to see that Jaya's confidence. And when she walked in the surgery last week, and I say, this is not the Jaya that I knew. Just to go back a few steps, I remember the musical rendition that Risti sent me 5 years ago, and this was on this piano, and and I've got it on my phone still. And to hear Jaya, and I said to myself, music is a wonderful healer, but music as well, it crosses all barriers and relates to, transcends consciousness. Let's just talk about Jaya. Jaya, you as a student in South Africa, as a musical student, as a hobby, and most important thing, as a South African young person. I mean, what does it mean to you to be a South African, and what did you take from your schooling in this country?
So I think if I were to talk about this experience from the beginning, it kind of started as me just wanting to try something different. COVID, we were always just by computers most of the day, and I don't think I left my pajamas or anything. I would eat breakfast and be on Zoom and everything, and I kind of got tired of it, and I decided I saw a lot of people online also moving away, and I was open to the idea. I didn't actually understand everything that really went into the process, but we didn't go all the way towards the end. We still went through it bit by bit and didn't overwhelm ourselves with the whole process. So, talking about South African education, it was more of how can I say, not really much, not very practical, but more in the sense of a lot of memorization and a lot of regurgitation. And some of the stuff was important. It gave me a really good foundation for a lot of my math and my English. But other than that, I kind of just felt like I was studying to memorize something and to spit it out again. I did find hobbies in some of the stuff that I did. But other than that, if I were to compare it to school in the US, it's very different. And I don't think you could compare them on the same level, in the sense that schooling in the US is very more practical. It's more hands-on. It's more outdoor and essays and projects and a lot of group work to understand what it's like to work in a group. To talk about the differences between going in there, I think I could not have done this without Mohan. He was like my rock, and it was really amazing to have him there to help him, because I wasn't with my mom, with my dad, and it was very independent, and I don't know, it was a very different lifestyle that I knew that was there, that I was coming from back home, and yeah, so
Thanks, thank you. Man, as you as the older brother of Jaya, and how did you meander your way from South African setup, suddenly going to the US, and I'm sure that you've got friends and happy memories in South Africa. But how did you take that with you from a South African perspective into the US?
How I managed, going from my home in South Africa to the US is I kind of put myself in this mode of being focused on the task at hand. So it would be packing my bags for the US. It'd be making sure we're taking the right flights, going to the right gates, and really just being in the moment every step of the way, so that I could just make sure that I was doing everything right. And you don't really think about it. It's like how big the actual change is until you're like on the flight. And that's really hit me. That I was really leaving my mom and dad back at home, and it was just me and my sister in the US. But keeping my friends in mind, and my South African background and the cultural awareness that comes with it, and the family and everything, and just taking that with me to the US and knowing that I had that was always very helpful. I was always able to talk with anyone that I needed to get me through the times where it feels a bit lonely, being separated from your family and friends that you've been with for so long, and you're at a boarding school. I was always taught that I could always be able to access that, and having Jaya around was very comforting to have family there with you to support yourself. So it was a very easy transition.
Not immediately.
Not me. Right.
Yeah. It was a teething period, as you would expect, but I think the reliance on each other, that's what we as Ravi and I found also solace in, that they weren't alone, that they had each other. And when there were moments when one of them was ill and the other stepped up immediately and just took care of them as if we were there. So that, I think, I will eternally be grateful for, to see kids who become co-parents. And I think Mohan had really stepped up, especially at times when Jaya was ill, and he would go to the healthcare services or to urgent care with her. And I thought, there's my role, and now it's been superseded and Mohan's taken over. But he was able to do it so fluently and so carefully that she was able to recover, and I didn't have to carry that additional stress. So that's special, because when the older sibling has a confidence to do this, and you know that something right is happening in the US. Exactly.
Yeah. Jay, what would you say that your musical experience affected you in your life currently?
Well, I used to do music when I was back in South Africa. I used to play the piano for a few years. I kind of lost touch with that, kind of transitioning into COVID and to all of the online Zoom. So I've left that kind of behind, but I do plan on trying going back to that. Yeah.
What would you say that your dental journey with myself as a practitioner, that 10 years ago, and how did it affect you in your life?
Well, I think there's definitely 10 years ago, and there's one of the main differences is my confidence and my ability to speak, and your assurance of me and your view of me really impacted how I go into the world. So when I first came here, I was very nervous. I was closed off. I did not want to sit in a chair and get my mouth picked at. And Dr. Reddy, I think we had a filling or something, and I was nervous. He saw it in my face, and he just immediately played one of our Hindi songs called Om Bhurva Swaha, and it calmed me down, and I could see it in his face, the care and the confidence he had, that he believed in me, that I could do it. And it was kind of almost like this, it was holding my hand throughout the process, but then when I moved to the US, everything was very different. I had to kind of do it by myself, but him coming back and then him seeing me and having conversations with me, it's almost like he's let me go, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I think to add to what Jaya says is Dr. Reddy's influence on Jaya has kept her motivated to, I can do this better. I'm stronger for it. He's made me stronger for it. But it was also the holistic treatment. You're not just fixing a tooth or fixing a gum, but you are helping the patient completely. I remember a simple thing like mouth breathing. We had never known that concept before, and then when we came to meet with you and learn the practice, even yogic practices. So it was not just coming and saying, I'm going to the dentist, don't get playing down. There was treatment that was administered on the family, or care that was given to the family. And to the family, I think, not just the individual person sitting on the chair, that you've got that relationship to the point where you can rely on Dr. Reddy to just help you with something that's not just necessarily dental.
To add on that, I was thinking now, when I first got to the US and their whole approach to schooling, especially the school that I go to, it's a very holistic type of education. So you're not just learning history or English, you're learning how it affects the world, how you and your voice affects the world. And it's teaching you way more than just learning the pronouns or, verbs and everything like that. But there was something very comforting or very home to it, or like something that was very safe and comforting to that type of education. And if I reflect back on my time, it kind of really reflects your type of dentistry, your type of work that you do on your patients. It's more than fixing a tooth, or more than coming in to do a filling. It's fixing every type of your mental and health and well-being. And I really thank you for that, because it really helped my transition to the US.
Thank you, Jeff. And man, what would you think about dentistry as a profession, and how dentists help you in your career?
Well, you're like one of the most involved dentists we've had. You're very helpful with our family, and you always give us those little bits of advice for the rest of our life, for a bigger part of our life other than dentistry and other than the inner workings of our mouth. You show us how it really all connects, and how dental health improves, if you have good dental health, improves all other parts of your health, and how the opposite can occur as well. But coming to you as a dentist, it's kind of, I don't know what Jay was saying, but also, confidence booster, knowing that, well, I always had to come first when we were having our dentist appointments. I would always be forced to go to the dentist, have my checkups first, have my fillings first, or just my braces
first.
Yeah, have my braces taken off first. Yeah, just to show that, it wasn't a painful or, uncomfortable procedure, that, if I could do it and it was easy and painless for me, then Jay would be fine.
Client had to come up with a briefing.
That really continued throughout the rest of my life. And now I'm older brother. I always do things first to show that it can be done, and you can do it. And yeah, it's just there's little things like coming to you so consistently, and then always you're checking up and you're making it a seamless process that, okay, sometimes the dentist can be a scary thing, but when you have someone teaching you the right things and guiding you and being helpful, it's easy, it helps you.
Yeah, I think to add to Mohan, you've built such a layer of trust, a level of trust with family, with the kids, that it's not nerves and anxiety before they get on the chair. They get on easily, they get off easily, they are able to trust in the process and trust in you. And that, I think, is something that if you can get right with your dentist, then yes, you've done something more than right.
Thank you very much. Just as young people, I've always talked to my two sons, and I said that, as young people, you should be the happiest people in the world. You're the future leaders of the world. And how do you see yourself as being happy beings to affect other young people like yourself, either in South Africa or the US or globally, Jeff?
I think it really stems from the education that we get here. In South Africa, it's very focused on your books, focus on getting this test right, getting all your straight A's, and then you'll be fine, you're set for life, right? But in the US, it's completely different. You can have the grades, but you can still get disadvantaged by other things if you're not helping the community around you, if you're not doing certain projects or even tutoring certain individuals. It's a lot of what can you do that influences your community around you. And that's something that the US has really taught me, that I'm more than just my books or my grades, but I'm an individual that can really make change or influence other individuals as well.
Would you consider yourself as a young chain mechanics of the world?
Can you elaborate on that?
For example, that if you lead your life in a way to affect communities as a young person now. So would you see that as a continuous change process to affect other young people?
100%. I think when I see other individuals doing something that I only can dream of, I understand that it's something that's possible, something that could happen. And that's technically how this whole process started. I saw other individuals going and doing the same process, but not really showing like the other stuff that happens, but showing what could happen and what you could achieve out of this. And that's what gave me hope. That's what gave me something to hold on to. So that's why I continue to do this, and maybe this will help someone else in their process.
Okay. And Mahala, in the world today, the young people are the leaders of green energy and of all the things of being eco-friendly in the world. And you see the young people are the ones who take to the streets and the protesters and highlighting. How do you see yourself in the energy of the greenness of the world?
I'm very avid for it. I do think that South Africa could really benefit from a lot more solar panels. I've been involved in the renewable energy part of things. I'm just in terms of education, I really have learned a lot about it, and just because I'm very interested in the field, in South Africa we do have power shortages and load shedding, and that's something that you always think about because it's always affecting you. I really think that if we have all these means to create renewable energy, I really think that we should be implementing it. And I find that all the politics and everything kind of does get in the way of it. So I understand the frustrations and why people take out to the streets to protest, especially when they're young. These are so many things that are affecting us and, are in the way of, they're preventing us from leading a happy life. That's, we think that we're in the 21st century. We think that we shouldn't be this low we shouldn't have these problems in the first place. So that's why I think a lot of the young people nowadays are really adamant for change and want a better life.
Yeah, what is the most profound parting message as you, as an individual that has grown in confidence to affect change within yourself? What message you would give for young people your age in the world?
I recently had this quote about you can't change unless you can't grow unless you're out of your comfort zone. And I think coming out of my home cooked meals, my mom was always there, there was nothing I need to worry about. But when I was put in this different situation where I was really independent by myself and had to really look out for not only myself but my brother, which was a role my mom used to take after, I really grew as a person, not only in confidence, but in understanding the world around me and in understanding awareness of other individuals. So you cannot grow unless you are out of your comfort zone. That is something I would impart.
Wonderful, Jem. Thanks for that inspiration. Rusty, as a mom and as a legal person, and you've also intertwined mother's love and with legal discipline in your life and with bringing about discipline with the children. But what message you can leave for moms that this world was challenged, where working mothers, right? But you seem to have got a balance to affect these two children emotionally that I witnessed, and as a working mom, and how do you manage to do that, and what message do you give to other moms?
Yeah, I'd say don't disillusion yourself. It is challenging. There are times where, with the time difference, when the kids are going to bed and you're getting up to start your day, and or vice versa. The advice that I would give to other moms who are thinking of possibly going along this journey is to trust, to be open to things that's going to happen on a daily basis that's going to change your day. Like some nights where you're going to have to stay awake and be there for your kids if they need you, because that's the time that they need you, and it's not just because it's the time of night now where you should be asleep. So be versatile, be flexible, but at the same time, just trust in the process that you're doing the right thing. In terms of balancing work, that is also a challenge because you're now dealing with children in a different time zone, an education system that you never knew. So you've got to learn the mechanics of that. You were so accustomed to, almost 17 years of South African educational system, to now go to something foreign is to also be open to what else is new, what else is out there. Learning what a college process is like. There's a lot of of information that you need to download, to assimilate. So be prepared. Take each day as it comes, but at the same time, just try and be resilient in everything that you're doing. I think that's some of the things I would say you'd need to have some characteristics.
Thank you very much to see. I think there's hope for mums in the world, and to know that mums, you can do this to allow children to blossom of a lot of resilience, but most importantly, letting go of children to know that there's a bigger picture to life.
Absolutely.
Mom, what is your message to young people like yourselves in this current changing world where the world is challenged, people are challenged post-COVID, and you as a young person in this journey that you've undertaken, what's your inspirational message?
I would say always try to keep an open mind and be open to change. And I always want to say, try to make the world a better place by making yourself better.
Thank you, Mohan. Thank you, Rishi. Thank you, Jaya, for this wonderful expose of knowing that dentistry has a place in affecting family lives. And I look forward to with colleagues and engaging in worldwide to know that dentistry is beyond teeth.
Yeah.
Have a great day and look forward to the next episode.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy.
Thanks.